So I'm just gonna check in here for a minute as I'm trekking straight up the hill and just say that this is what 5 days at 8 to 10 hours a day driving in your car will do when you land at high altitude and decide to go for a hike. So we're still going. Talk to you when I get to the top. Okay, I have to show you this. So I've been ducked. So I don't know if you know this, but it's a bit of a Jeep thing. I think it started in Canada. It's made its way to the US. But some Jeep owners carry little rubber duckies with them. And when they see another Jeep, particularly one they like, they duck it. And so you can see that I've been ducked. And so this is actually the second time that I've been ducked in my Jeep. It's just a neat little way of putting a smile on someone's face, and what a great way to start my day. So what better way to spend my day off than to go for a hike? And I've been looking forward to this today, and I'll just show you some of this is the backdrop around me, and that is actually what I'm going to be hiking up. And so look forward to it. I'll touch base with you on the way up and certainly up at the top. Okay, so I am, I don't know, about 15 minutes in maybe. Yeah, it's going well. I don't think I can swap the camera around while filming. Nope, I can't, so hang on one second. So this is the view that I'm seeing as I'm talking to you right now. This is looking out over the cliff. I shouldn't have started in the middle. Now you have to watch both sides. But this is hurricane down below us. And looking out over the views, I parked. Oh, I can see me. I don't know if I can zoom in. I can. That's where I parked. I lost count of how many switchbacks I've done so far. And this is where we're still going. And I'm trying to be very careful not to fall off the cliff doing a selfie. We hear about that way too many times. So, all right, I'll check in. Well, I made it up here to the top. Sorry if I end up squinting. I'm looking directly at the sun. The sun is so bright. But I think this is the only way I'm not going to be in shadows, because there is nothing up here to protect me from that sun. So if I squint, it's just because I got the sun right in my eyes, and I think it's best for the shot. But I made it up. Actually, it was 1.75 miles is what it read when I got here. 36 minutes, and pretty darn steep for a lot of it. But it was a great hike. So I'll show you just a little bit of the footage that you can see here. You can actually see over my, my right shoulder, the mountains in the background. I love those snow-packed mountains that are back there. And then as I'm panning around, you can probably see hurricane down below once again. Just the spectacular views that are here. I don't know what I expected, but I really didn't expect this. I didn't expect to be in the midst of mountains. I just thought it was going to be a lot more plateau and sand duney and big red rocks. So bonus. What a beautiful, beautiful view it is from here, and what a great hike it's been. Just have to make my way back down. So I'm not going to waste this opportunity of being up here. You guys have seen enough hotel rooms from me the last 5 days. So I am actually going to do kind of some of my late day stuff right here from the top of the mountain. Just soak up this sunshine. Just to make you guys jealous, I think it's 14 degrees back in Barrington right now. It's only 55 here. and only supposed to be 60 to 63 the next 3 days. I have lucked out because it could be 40 with snow, which is often the case here in January. So what a beautiful week it looks like it'll be for me. But moving on, I just wanted to make you a little jealous there. So moving on to our song for the day, I'm going to be doing something different while I'm here in Hurricane. I've got 5 days that I'm here where I'm not traveling on the road, and so I'm not going to be listening to music the way I normally do, and I don't listen to music while I ride, really, because I'm spending way too much time paying attention to the road, the trail, the Jeep in front of me, the Jeep behind me, and listening to commands and such on the radio, or in the instance of being here on the CB. So I won't be listening to a whole lot of music over the next few days, and I've been spending a lot of time on this trip thinking about family. We've talked some about community and family and some of my spiritual thoughts. But family's been on my mind, and so many of the songs that I listened to reminded me of family along the whole trip out here. So what I thought I'd do for the next 5 days is take my nuclear families. That's my birth family, or at least the family I grew up with, and my current nuclear family, and pick a song that reminds me or speaks to me about each of them. These are songs that I love, that have been a part of my life, integral part of my life, but they are also intimately tied to other people. And so each day I'm going to take a family member and talk about a song that goes with each of them. So my first one that I'm going to go with is going to give you a little bit of an insight into me, share a little bit of my long ago past, or at least leave you guessing about it. So this song is a song that I'm tying to my mother. There are lots of songs I could tie to my mother, especially The Rose by Bette Midler is really, that to me is mom. But this particular song is a song that gave me my earliest nickname, and I'm talking toddler years. So this actually predates my memory. I remember parts of it. I remember being called it. I don't remember much, but the song sticks with me. I haven't heard it probably in 40 years, and I looked it up the other day. That's how much I'm thinking about family as I'm doing this. I'm not going to tell you what the nickname is. And so Mom, Dad, Aaron, I think you're the only 3 people who know what that nickname is. And you're not allowed to put it in the comments, but I want people who go ahead, listen to the song, and then guess in the comments what you think my nickname was. And I'll reveal in the end. After you have some chance to put some things in the comments, I'll let it out. But the song is Little Nash Rambler. I don't think it was ever a super popular song, but it struck me as a little kid. And as I sang the only words of the song that I knew, it gave me a nickname. So I invite you to check out the link, the YouTube link in below for Little Nash Rambler, and enjoy the song. I hope you do as much as I did as a little kid, and as much as I did going down memory lane a few days ago when I listened to it. Oh, and I should also say, thank you, Mom. So my spiritual thought for the day, I got to do that one up here. And it should be pretty obvious seeing the views that I showed you a few minutes ago. Oh my God. And I mean that, not using God's name in vain in any way or shape or form. Oh my God, this is beautiful. So for my congregation back home, and for my previous congregation who knew it as well, I just have one thing to say as my spiritual thought for the day. Looking at this world around me, God is good. All the time. All the time. God is good. So I've gotten a few questions about the trip so far. Questions like, so Dale, who is Jonathan? And other people saying, Dale, have you ever named your Jeep? So I realized that after 5 days, it's probably by day 6, I ought to introduce you to my traveling companion. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to Jonathan. Jonathan is a 2009 Jeep Wrangler JKU Sahara Edition. The JKU means it's a JK, which means that it was built between 2007 and 2017. And the U means that it is unlimited, which means it is the 4-door model. As many of you probably know, Jeeps did not come, or I should say Wranglers did not come with more than 2 doors up until the JKU was introduced in 2007. I'm going to just share with you some of the upgrades that I've done over the years. I've had Jonathan for about 2 years now, almost 2 years to the month. Just introduce you to a few things that I've done. Some of the early things I did, I've got a new front bumper, aftermarket bumper. One of the reasons I do that is that it gives you better ground clearance. If you're coming up against rocks that are in this area, they would hit the stock bumper, but they don't hit aftermarket bumpers. And the aftermarket bumper also allows for the adding of a winch, which I have and have used a number of times. Don't tell Elizabeth, but I'm thinking I would like to get a new front bumper, but that's our secret. Let's see, I put in new headlights for this trip because the stock headlights are terrible. These are LEDs, and I knew I'd be doing some nighttime driving, so I put in new headlights. I also added aftermarket fender flares. These are flat steel tube fender flares. The reason you do that is to give you, again, increased tire clearance between your tire and your fender to prevent you from rubbing at flex. One of the very first mods I did was adding these rock rails, which you can see there. They serve one purpose, and that's really to protect your Jeep against rocks. They're called that for a reason, because if you're sliding over, you're banging into rocks, those steel bars and tubes do a tremendous amount to protect the body of your vehicle and help you just slide over the rocks. I'll also mention, this is relatively new, last fall, November, I want to say, I'm running 35-inch Milestar Patagonia tires. And they're on 16-inch method wheels. I got these actually used from another club member. They'd only been used one season, had about 5,000 miles on them. Tires this size are ridiculously expensive, so I got a great deal on these. They've got a ton of tread left on them, and one of the reasons I wanted to go with the Milestar Patagonias is they are quieter than many mud terrain tires on, you can see how deep the tread is. Maybe you can't there, but it is significant, over half an inch. And it's this tread pattern along the top that actually makes these tires slightly quieter than most mud terrain tires while on the highway. My CB antenna with my trail flag celebrating the Bay State Jeepers. Requirements, both of them, CBs and trail flags for this trip. Another modification that I've done is I've relocated my license plate from down here underneath the tail light, where it could get ripped off on a trail, to up here behind the rear tire, and I had to relocate my third brake light and add lights down here for the license plate as well to keep it legal. Let's see. I added aftermarket hinges here because these 35-inch tires and wheels way too heavy for the stock tire carrier and stock tailgate hinges, and it would just rip it right off the Jeep. So that was another mod that I did this fall when I went to 35-inch tires. I'll crawl under the Jeep and take a picture in a little bit, but you won't want to see it. Underneath are full skid plates protecting the engine, the transmission, the gas tank, and the transfer case. And I relocated the evaporation canister in case those Jeep owners out there are like, why didn't you get a skid plate for your evap canister? So I'll get a picture of those. Again, like the rock rails, they serve one purpose, and that's to protect the underside of the Jeep from getting smashed as you're not jumping, but as you're rolling over or gliding over rocks that just may be a little too tall for you. Let's see. I'm going to show you some interior things that I did. I love this mod. So I removed the rear seat, as you can see, and I did that because we don't have any kids. But let me show you this. So I removed the rear seats and replaced it with compartments. So I've got 3 compartments along here in the back. And so here we go. I have my tools that are tucked in here. Jack board, if you're jacking on uneven or soft surfaces. Second pair of gloves that are down there. The middle one has first aid kit and other emergency supplies. Some of you will be happy to know that I have those. And if you come around to the other side and look in, you can see that I've got my recovery equipment. So I've got tree savers, I've got tow straps, I've got gloves, I've got a hook, spare hook for my winch. I've got a air compressor that allows me, after I air down my tires to be safe on the trails, to air them back up. I've got some soft shackles, more winching equipment, yeah, pretty much all that's in there. And I love the fact that I was able to hinge these, cover them with automotive carpeting, and they really look great. Forgot to show you this mod while I was here too, and that was down here in the back. I have both a USP and a 12-volt outlet. That allowed me to run my electric cooler while I was driving out here, so I had a refrigerator with me. If you ever need to plug anything else, so I ran those wires and cables, and I did the same thing up on the dash. So looking in here along the dash, I can see some other upgrades that I did. Here I've got, this is actually not for wheeling. This is a brake controller, electric brake controller for towing trailers. When Elizabeth and I tow Parker, who is our 14-foot travel trailer that we go camping in, electric brakes make all the difference in the world, especially in a Jeep. Keeps you safe. I added this bar here, which is a mount bar, which allows me to mount things. You can see I've got my phone mount, which is also my camera mount, right in the middle there. That's a wireless charging port, which I have plugged into that USB that I added, as well as an arm there, which is holding my CB. When I'm wheeling at home, it holds my handheld radio, because we don't use CBs back in New England. Yeah, and then I also should just show you my aftermarket stereo that I added. This has been in 4 or 5 different cars of mine. It's a wireless AirPlay radio, so my iPhone connects to it wirelessly and allows me to do things like GPS or let's see, even just about anything I can do on my phone, I can do wirelessly by voice on my radio, which keeps me safe. And especially the GPS helps me drive across the country and not get lost. I should probably also mention that I've replaced most of the steering components and suspension components in the front here. They got beat up and the stock wasn't really strong enough, and so I ended up replacing a lot there. Put in some sway bar quick disconnects. These are essential for highway driving, to have sway bar connects, but to be able to disconnect them while on the highway, excuse me, not on the highway, while on the trail, allows the wheels to move independently and more freely of one another, which on a highway would be scary as heck, but on the trails is essential to allow your wheels to stay on the ground over rough terrain. I also haven't said anything about my lift. So Jonathan actually has 2 lifts. Jonathan has a 2-inch coil spring lift, which involved these springs and the white shock behind it, both front and back. That gave Jonathan 2 extra inches of ground clearance, both in the front and the back. And then after I added on all the armor and the rock rails and the bumper and the winch and the skid plates, that took about about 600 extra pounds I put on the Jeep, which then caused my springs to compress, and I lost an extra inch from that 2-inch lift. So this past, actually the weekend before I drove out here, I replaced, or I added spacer lift to the spring coil lift, and I should be able to show you a picture here. Basically, it's rubber about as hard as a hockey puck or harder that goes above the springs, both in the front and the rear. And it just gives you can get different sizes. I added 1 inch to get my 1-inch lift back. So I'm running now about a total of 2 1/8 inch lift. My tires, which are 3 inches larger than normal Jeep tires, or at least stock Sahara tires, give me an extra 1.5 inches of lift. So I'm going about, what does that add up to? 2 1/8 plus 1 1/2 would be 3 5/8. Yep, higher running than I would have been on stock. So that is Jonathan, a 2009 Jeep Wrangler JKU. I've owned for 2 years, put a lot of work into, and brought me a lot of joy and recreation. So the one question I didn't answer is, why Jonathan? Why is my Jeep named Jonathan? It's a very simple answer. Well, at least simple to us. But it all has everything to do with Jonathan's color. When I brought Jonathan home, Elizabeth said, "Oh my gosh, what a beautiful color. That reminds me of Yukon. You should name it Jonathan." So the story behind that is that I love Yukon. I'm a Yukon grad, University of Connecticut, not Yukon, Alaska, as occasionally people will think. So I'm a big sports fan for the University of Connecticut. I thoroughly enjoyed my time there. And the school colors for Yukon are national flag blue and white. And Jonathan's color is not quite, but it's relatively close to national flag blue. And Elizabeth and I both loved the color so much. And when she first saw it, she said, "Oh my gosh, that Jeep looks like Yukon." And so here's my little Yukon Husky with his national flag blue. And the mascot for Yukon is a Husky dog. And his name, I think maybe some of them have been hers too, but his or her name, whenever they come along through all the decades, is always Jonathan. And so that is why I drive around in a Jeep named Jonathan. So you get to see the other side of my hotel room. I think the lighting's a little bit better this way. But I just want to say it's been a great day. What a good day it has been. I know this video is longer than others. Some of you may not have made it this far. I'm sure there's other people who really were curious about Jonathan and a little bit more information about some of the mods that I've done and how I'm able to do what I do. But once again, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate having the opportunity to just share with you a little bit of my journey, and for all the support that you've given me throughout life and throughout the past week. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.